Hi there, it's Simon from Naked Record Club here. You join me at the wonderful Lafayette music venue deep in the heart of King's Cross in London. Today I am joined not by one, but by two members of Canadian legendary indie band Stars, Amy Millan, Paddy McGee. Hello.
You got my name right. That's so nice. People always get it wrong. They don't know if it's Milan or Millan, but it's Milan. So
Milan.
thank you. And I think it's made up, but they made
It's
it
nice.
up.
It's good. It's
Nailed Paddy McGee too.
Yes.
Bang on.
That's a good, strong Canadian name.
Exactly. Yes. Italian.
Italian.
It's a joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, Milan could be Italian, but it's also, I'm definitely not Italian.
So we've got the Italian thing out of the way. There's no Italian in my family at all.
Okay.
Let's talk about the rather wonderful show that you played last night. For viewers, Stars are on a European tour at the moment, playing the Lafayette venue for 2 nights, the Saturday and the Sunday. I was lucky enough to be at last night's show, and it was absolutely amazing. It was a brilliant show. Not only do you get Stars, but you get Murray from the Deers, who is opening the shows acoustically, and he joins you on stage a bit later for a number. And last night was David Gedge from The Wedding Present, which was brilliant. Great to see. How was it for you last night?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, it was when it's sold out, you get super pumped.
Yeah.
There's like an extra layer of just feeling like you're doing the right thing instead of showing up somewhere and then no one shows up.
Yeah.
So you feel like your trajectory is right. And then having David Gedge there was such a thrill, and it was so much fun.
It was bizarre having sort of an iconic voice show up, voices you've heard on records for years, and then suddenly he's standing in front of you and starts singing a song that you know so well, and suddenly it sounds like a wedding present song. It's very interesting. But it was fun. You know, it was really fun. The audience was out of control. They're fantastic.
Deadly, as you'd like to say over here.
Everyone was having so much fun, and when they're so happy, it's hard to contain.
Yeah, it was great.
Their own joy.
Wonderful. We can't wait to do it again tonight.
Yeah, and tonight there is who's coming on tonight? Louis Philippe.
Yeah, who's a wonderful singer and songwriter. We've known each other for years. We were on the same label when we first came up, Le Grand Magistery, so we've known him for many, many years. And we also have...
Marie will be back.
Marie will be back. And we have Russell.
Oh, Russell.
From Block Party.
Yeah.
He's going to get up and play some wild licks. And we toured with them. We opened for them on a Euro tour in like 2000 and something.
Seems like a lifetime ago.
One of the years in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And of course, in Glasgow, just the other day, you had John from the Trash Cans and Archers,
so
who
lovely.
are like one of my all-time favourite bands. And if we could have got there, we would scratch our heads in. Could we? I'm looking off camera to Rachel, the other half of Naked. Can we get to that one? But
yeah, it was really beautiful.
How was that?
We sang weightlifting together, and it was such a lovely song. And we played with them. That was one of my first shows ever with Stars. When I joined the band, Paddy wasn't in the band yet. In the year 2000, we did a little run in the States opening for the Trash Cans. And I just have such wonderful, it was my first time being in a band and just have such great memories. Like one of them told me how to cure the hiccups, which was very helpful.
Do you remember?
I do. Well, it's the thing is that you can only do it once. And so I'm going to wait till you have the hiccups.
Okay, fine.
But if you can, I'm going to write it on a blog one day and you can come and find it and be like, what's the hiccup cure? But yeah, and so it's been really lovely to have all these, these people that have been a big part of our life be on stage with us.
Well, that's great. My first question for you, it involves music. It's when did you both first discover music? Do you remember how you came across music?
Well, my dad played guitar, so he would sing us to sleep a lot. Definitely my father.
Yeah, my parents also sang me to sleep every night. They had a repertoire of I remember a lot of John Denver for some reason, and Willie Nelson and that sort of thing. But when I first discovered popular music, it was, I'll try and make this brief. In grade 2, our teacher allowed us to bring records to school for Christmas, and we could play a record. And my mother gave me Cream, Wheels of Fire, which I didn't know anything about, but I brought that and we played it in the class and nobody liked it. And then this girl, Sarah Gray, brought ABBA, Super Trooper, which everybody loved. And from that moment on, I loved Sarah Gray and Super Trooper. And that was it. That was sort of my introduction to pop music, I think. That was it.
It is powerful, you're right. And obviously for people who end up in music, it's like a key or a door to another world that gets open when you discover music.
Yeah, I had a best friend named Maggie King, and she loved music. And she knew, when I think we were like 7 when John Lennon died, and she was distraught and called me and said, John Lennon's died. And I was like, who's John Lennon? She said, he's in the Beatles. And I remember they used to have the Beatles on Sesame Street, where they were like, let her be, let her be. And I was like, one of the Muppets died? Like, I was like, but I remember she was deeply, deeply loved music. And she tried to get me into the Police. Like, I bought Synchronicity so she would think I was cool. But I remember when I really clicked was seeing Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. Right. The video came on, Toronto Rocks. And that was it. I was like, oh, I get it. Now, now this is what I like. And it was my first concert as well.
Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper.
On that album.
Yeah.
Must have been pretty insane.
It was incredibly beautiful. I mean, my mom took me and she bought when we got to the tickets, we were walking up and 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 up. And it was the very last row of Maple Leaf Gardens.
Did they give you oxygen up there? Like,
so I was like, I think I can see her. And then my mom was like, we have to go before the encore. I can't be in the crowds. And I was like, but she hasn't played Girls Just Want to Have Fun yet. And then I could hear her playing it as we were exiting the building quickly. It's okay, Jane.
Trauma.
I forgive you. You took trauma. I love you still. No matter.
Jane's amazing.
Teenage years, you're buying records, CDs, whatever it may be. What were you buying? Who were your favourite bands during your teenage years?
I was obsessed with English music. I hated American music for some reason. Everything I loved started off with Duran Duran, Depeche Mode, U2, and then I started listening to this. My friends' cooler older brothers would introduce us to the Specials and,
that new wave sort of scene.
It was all sort of like, The Cure and everything. But the Smiths, my cousins were listening to the Smiths for some reason. I remember hearing Meat is Murder when I was about 12 or 11 or 12. And I don't know, I just found it, I'd never heard anything like it. It was somewhat mesmerizing. And I just became obsessed with the band. And that ended up being my first concert as well. And I'd never seen a Mohawk before, and it changed everything.
The Smiths was your first concert?
Kingswood Amphitheater. In 86.
Cool. I didn't even know that.
But I didn't know, at the time, I didn't feel cool because I got beat up by my own friends for liking the Smiths. My friends used to throw my Smiths records out the window. I was in my entire high school career, I knew 2 other people who liked the Smiths. And we had a secret society. But skinheads would come up to me and I had Smiths written on my parka and they'd go, Smiths, just, that was it. So it wasn't cool until maybe 15 years ago.
In Canada.
But ultimately that set the stage. Like that was sort of it for me. And I don't know why. I loved the English, the musical sensibilities in the 80s of that.
The Smiths seems to be a common link between most of the members of Stars.
I mean, I didn't listen to the Smiths in high school. So I was introduced to the Smiths by Torquil. Flying here, playing our first show around the same time we opened for the Trash Cans, and we went to visit him at his childhood home in Castleton. Or he took us to Castleton, and while we were driving through the heather, he's playing it and weeping. And it's really hit the spot. Let me tell you, it really makes when you hear something that someone loves so much, it's hard not to also love it.
Yeah.
So and then I've played with. We opened for Morrissey, Broken Social Scene, in my other band that I'm in, which was an amazing concert. But I was sort of more of a bit of a hippie.
Mm-hmm.
I was a hippie.
Folky hippie.
But I remember like the Talking Heads, that song "Heaven Is a Place," being one of those like transforming me of what music could do if you wrote. Like the lyrics really sucked me in. Big into Neil Young at that time. Got into the Grateful Dead. Don't punish me.
It's just a different side of romance, I find. Like there's the English aesthetic, and then there's sort of the country aesthetic of romance.
Yeah, and I got really into country music. I've made 2 country albums. And the Grateful Dead is actually, if you try to learn their songs, it sounds simple, but they're not simple.
They're not simple. That's
Slipknot.
The art, isn't it?
Yeah, Slipknot is one of the most, who's the new guitar player for them now who replaced Jerry? Those handsome face.
Oh.
Your Body is a Wonderland.
Wonderland. John Mayer.
John Mayer said Slipknot is the hardest guitar solo he's ever learned. So anyway, I stand by my love for them, and I still occasionally dabble on a Sunday and did my Grateful Dead time.
I was in a charity shop yesterday, or a vintage store yesterday, and they were playing Working Man's Dead or something. Ripple came on. Ripple, they were like, and
Did you tear up?
I teared up.
I knew you would.
I teared up.
I
I
knew
like,
you
what
would.
is happening to me right now? This is such a beautiful
It's
song.
such a beautiful song. Listen, Broke Down Palace.
I know.
There are some great
they're
lyrics there.
heartbreakers.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of softies.
You know. But Campbell has never dubbed. He doesn't like the Grateful Dead. But you know, I did want to be like, you know, them, but we just do it. We're like hippies, except for we dress a little better and we shower more. But we, you know, we live on a tour bus and travel around with our friends getting on stage, and my kids are on the bus. So we're sort of doing the same thing.
It is the hippie thing.
Yeah.
The hippie thing. We've talked last night after the show, and I think I annoyed him because one, I asked him, I was surprised that he knew the band Talk Talk. I wasn't really, but just the way it came out in conversation. I said, do you know Talk Talk? And he was quite angry with me for that. And then I told him I actually saw Prefab Sprout when I was 17.
Don't even get him started.
I know.
Don't even get him started.
Talk is the biggest fan of Prefab Sprout. And I was quite lucky. I was about 16 or 17, and that was my second concert. Obviously, you said The Smiths was your first. My first was Meatloaf. With my mum, because my dad wouldn't go with her. He sat outside in the car while we watched in the Brighton Centre. I was about 11, and I just thought we were going to get killed because, you know, it was metalers and what they called...
Metalers?
Yeah, metalers, heavy metal guys.
Heavy metal guys.
For
Metalers. Yeah,
That's so, to me, that's so strange.
Hells Angels, a lot all turned up on their motorbikes at the Brighton seafront, and they were the nicest people. They opened the door for my mum. They offered to buy her drinks.
Of course.
And I thought all gigs were going to be like that. It's like going to be these crazy metal lads who are going to offer to buy me beer.
Meatloaf had a lot of hits, man. A lot of hits. Can't diss the meat.
Let's talk about how you both got into Stars. So,
well, it's actually one of my favorite stories.
It's pretty. I mean, there was a lot of serendipity going on, but like
Toronto was small. You know, it's a small town. Really, it's much, much bigger now. But at the time that we were growing up, we kind of all grew up together. Like there was, you know, we would talk about this one place we would go when we were 15 years old. It was called the Theater, and you could go there as children, and bands would play, and you could bring your own drinks, and you could do drugs. And him and I never met, but we were both there at the same time. He remembers seeing my friend Emily Haynes from Metric. So Emily is still my best friend we met the first day of school in grade 11. And Jimmy was best friends with Torque and Evan and Chris Seligman. And Torque and Jimmy were actually in their first band together, and Emily and I were in our first band together.
Right.
And so we just all, you know, we went to the same camp, but like, so we didn't like, it was just when we were going to meet, right?
Yeah.
And so Evan and I had kind of played around each other. He was in many bands, Gypsy Soul, I played with Bigger Jake, and I, you know, we'd always kind of look, and I'd be like, I met him at the theater also when he was 15 years old. I remember like him and I making eye contact and like just burning into my mind of this like kid who was so confident with his trombone and walking around like Mr. Guy.
That's not something you hear very often, the sentence, with my trombone, confident with my trombone.
Yeah.
That's you know, guitar, maybe even drumsticks.
He's a unique individual.
Listen, Grant's going to make it. So they called me because they wanted a female singer, and I, you know, they knew me through Emily and through these bands, and Evan was like, well, what about Amy? I think she just broke up with her other band, which I had. So then we didn't have a drummer. We had a box, and we called him Stevie, and he just did, you know, beats.
Yeah.
But he would break all the time, and it was we were like, okay, we need to find a real drummer. So Paddy was suggested to us by an old friend, Matt Watkins.
Yeah. And
he comes into the rehearsal space, and he starts, you know, rehearsing, and he's this little piccolo. That was funny when you played with the piccolo.
I used to walk around. I used to carry my drums in a knapsack, and whatever I could carry in a knapsack, that's what I had.
That's what you played.
I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. So whatever, I just carry it on my shoulder and walk around. So I just had this tiny little drum set that I'd walk around with, that I probably brought to the audition or whatever.
The audition.
Yeah,
So we're playing Stars songs, like Heart, I think was one of the first songs we played with you. And then Torque's like, okay, we need to take a break. I need to go smoke some weed. So he goes outside to smoke, and I start playing a country song because, as I said, I love country music. And so I start playing country, and he kind of starts jamming along with me. And I said, oh, sorry, Paddy, you know, if you'll get to know me, I play country music. And he said, oh, I love country music. Like all my friends, my best friends from Toronto are all country musicians. And I was like, because I was deep in the country music scene there. And I was like, who are these friends of yours in country music? And he started listing off all of my best friends, like
Who were
my
all
family,
of my best friends.
all of his best friends. But he lived in Montreal while I lived in Toronto, so we never.
Ah.
And I was like, everyone walked back in, and I was like, he's in the band, he's family. So now Paddy's in the band.
And then we never, like, we started listing off all the parties we'd been to and the parks we'd partied at and all this. And we'd all been to the same ones growing up as teenagers, but never met.
Yeah.
Never
It's wild.
quite.
It was until.
And so that person, Jenny Whiteley, who's an incredible country singer, and Joey Wright, her husband, who's also equally amazing. Jenny is now on tour with us watching my kids while we play, which is so sweet. She's just like, I'll come so you don't have to stress out. So she's actually having high tea with them this moment.
Very civilized.
Yeah.
Very Sunday afternoon in England thing to do that.
Yeah, my daughter's obsessed.
So I was lucky because I like country music and Amy, so that was our bond and our friends. And then Torque was also, I think he was quite suspicious because of me. And I was a little suspicious of them too because I didn't know the music. I wasn't really into that kind of music. My friend Matt Watkins had been saying, oh, you're going to love Stars. You're going to love Stars so much. They love the Smiths and all this stuff. And I was not really into that kind of music at that point in my life. And I'd listen to them like, I was listening to more aggressive things. Converge and
noise rock.
And drum like Aphex Twin and Venetian snares and this sort of thing. They're like, oh, it's a little light in the loafers, but I went and met them and Torque was there and Torque's quite dramatic and whatever, but then we both found out that we both loved the Smiths and so that was our bonding there and our bonding here and then I was like, these guys they're good, they're really good. So it all came around.
I think that to me it sounds like when we get to Harp, which was the first album you played on, Paddy.
Nope, well.
Yeah.
I dabble. I don't know if I actually made it on the album. Maybe one. I did some stuff.
You did some stuff.
Some stuff, but not. I don't think I played. I might have made it on.
George Donoso is on that
of the Deers.
album.
Right.
The Deers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy plays something. No, I think he helped us write some of the things. But anyway,
I
feel like you were there.
I was there. I remember recording at the Mabon school or whatever. But
I thought you were looking up. It's not you?
No, it's a machine.
Oh,
that's a machine, I think. Anyways, I don't really remember. I don't remember. But I was being cagey. I was being non-committal to everything at that point in my life. And then eventually Amy was like, came to me. I think after we recorded Set Yourself on Fire, and I still wouldn't commit to the band. And Amy was like, you're in the band. I was like, okay. They've regretted it ever since. The fifth opinion. It's a tough one.
Drummers aren't supposed to have opinions.
Drummers aren't supposed to have opinions.
Exactly.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
They're too busy setting up and breaking down to have an opinion.
Really, yeah.
Amy, what was when you? Because at first you joined Stars to sing. You weren't actually. Were you part of the band?
They asked me to join, but I said I wouldn't join unless I was a co-writer.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what, because I knew you were a songwriter before this, so.
And I stupidly said, and I also won't join unless we all share the publishing equally with everyone in the band. Very dumb. Really wish I went back and just said, no, if I write it, it's mine. No, we all write together. It was the best.
We never would have made it.
We never would have
made
it. No, it was the best decision we made. And I mean, thinking back on that, the generosity of Torquil and Seligman, who had been a band and made an entire album, and just saying, yeah, sure. I mean, you want to join that cult, the Yeah Sure cult?
Yeah.
And so we wrote Toxic Holiday together. And then Torque was like, well, it doesn't, like, we made Night Songs. It doesn't sound like Night Songs. So we put it as like a little bonus track.
Yeah.
But I still love that song. So that was the first song I wrote with Evan and Chris. And then we continued to write as a band.
It's interesting because all the bands that have longevity split their publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work the other way.
Resentment. There's enough resentment when you're sharing. I can't even imagine the resentment that would happen if you're not sharing.
Yeah.
I've just got £1 million check. What are you doing? Oh, you're still renting a flat somewhere.
Exactly.
How are you going to take that into a rehearsal room? It's very difficult.
It also encourages you to take part. You know what I mean? Like you have a vested interest in things being, and it's annoying because there's a lot of opinions, obviously, and people are all different. So that's and then it's also everyone has an aesthetic, and you're never really going to get your own all the way your aesthetic, but you are you're the sum of all the parts,
Yeah.
which is what I think your
And that's what
strength
makes us
is.
a band.
You know,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, we write the songs together. Like, there's no one that walks in the room and is like, listen, downstairs my guitar goes a little like this. So how you feeling today? It's like, it's not a Star song if that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. There's a lot, there's a lot of headbutting and, swallowing your pride and compromise. But in the end,
The creative process is a
off.
wild ride.
Yeah,
The creative process, there's so much in the creative process that is bad. There's a lot of bad in the creative process, and then you got to get through the bad to get to the good. And then when it's good, you're like, oh my God, wait a minute. We got it. This is good.
I know.
We got it. It's
I'm
great.
always surprised
But,
when the song comes out because I never think it's good until it's done. And I'm like, wow, that worked out somehow.
Yeah.
Do you and Talk write lyrics for each other to sing?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
All the time?
Yeah. I mean, generally, most of that time when we're singing duets, that's what one of us has written the duet.
Right, okay.
But it's interesting because Capleton Hill, the song, it was a magical thing that happened. And I think it was because we had just gone through the pandemic and we didn't know if we would ever be able to be in a room together again. And so it was the first time we were back in a room at Zoomer at our studio. And the verses were done, but there was no chorus. And he was like, can you write the chorus? And it's the lyrics of Packing Up the House. And I knew it was about North Hatley, where we've spent a lot of time as a band. And where we set ourselves alight. It's where in the town of North Hatley is where we wrote Set Yourself on Fire. So I was like, I know what you're on about. I know what you're talking about over here. So that I went and I looked on the maps and I found a street that I thought was the street that we went up, but it doesn't even matter. Anyway, we drove up this road when we wanted to borrow this guy's house to record it, and we fell in a ditch. And I think there was maybe a pint too many that happened.
I remember the ditch.
Remember the ditch?
Yeah, the ditch.
And anyway, so I wrote the choruses and he wrote the verses, and the whole band was there writing the music and the bridges, and it was just to me it's like the most special song at the moment for me. Like when we play it live, it's eclipsed Your Ex-Lover, it's eclipsed Elevator to me. It's eclipsed the big ones that we've written because of the unity of that song and the fact that we're all together really for the first time. It's pretty
beautiful song. Well, it was in our top 10 of last year.
Oh, amazing.
From the album.
Thank
That
you.
was a song I just thought beautiful. I know it's the title of the album, but it has a real essence to it. So there's something about that song.
And it's something about playing it over here that's resonating in a way that doesn't resonate back home necessarily. But it's something like as soon as we played it when we landed in Galway, I was like, oh, this is a song that belongs over on this side of the ocean.
I know.
It's like,
there is something about it.
Have you ever refused to sing a Talk lyric? Or the other way around? Has he refused to sing? Yeah? Does this happen much?
Yes. There was one.
Do
where it was
tell.
like, well, there was that one song where he was like, "Hey, Amy," and I was supposed to go, "Hey, Tor." I was saying that, so I'm not doing that.
That one didn't make the album.
Yeah, and then he'll flip things, and even if I'm singing them, like he'll be like, I had one from in the mines.
Yeah.
Where I was like, "Who let your dogs of hate out?" And he's like, "Dogs? Who let the dogs out?" He's like, how about hounds of hate? And I was like, oh, like the Kate Bush thing. I was like, okay, that's great. Like, we'll kind of, and like even you, when he was like really, really gone, you were like, can you just not say really, really gone? Because the drummer has an opinion.
I have an opinion sometimes. And sometimes things stick in your craw, get into your collar. You're like, I can't listen to really, really. But there's a history to that as well.
But it does sound great now. I know it's really gone, and it is better. We were there I know for all of us, the people we're trying to impress the most is each other. Like, I want Paddy and Chris and Evan and Torque to love the song. That's what that's my biggest desire. And if they love it, then I know I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't really care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
As long as
that's
core
that's a validation.
Those are the people that I care. And I can always tell when Evan doesn't like one of my lyrics because he starts to sing like Bon Jovi. He's like, I'm going down. I'm like,
anyway. For what it's worth, I've been in many bands, songwriter. I always found the drummer's comments the most cutting. But they're generally also the most insightful, which is really bloody annoying. But it's if the drummer speaks up and says you kind of got to take notice of that one. So
It is, I understand. I know the face. I'm familiar with the face when I say something, and
yeah.
But Evan, I think, is the most.
he's the scariest.
He's the
Oddly
scariest.
enough,
Yeah.
Evan's got the most. Yeah.
You can always tell if things aren't jiving
Yeah.
by Evan's facial expression.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. What a dynamic your band has. It's one in a
Tell me
million
about it.
what you guys have. I really do think that.
Yeah, Torque and I both put out solo records to see if we could maybe we can just do this on our own. It didn't work out. Turns out we do have an alchemy that's really working for us.
Amy, I wanted to ask you a question about being a woman in the music business. What you found your experiences and if they've changed at all. And I asked because one of the bands I was in was with a female singer and a female lead guitarist, which was quite odd to have that dynamic within a band. And there was two of us who did bass and drums, and I did the bass. And I'd never been in a band with girls before, and this is the end of the 90s, so we're all in our early 20s, mid 20s. And the first thing I noticed was that we got noticed very, very quickly by the music industry,
You're
where
welcome.
I've been trying to. But as soon as we had agents and record labels and producers and managers contacting us, maybe it was just a thing back then, but it was like we didn't know what to do for ourselves because we were fronted by two women. And I wanted, and it's always stuck in my mind because as a bloke in music, you don't always see these things, but I really saw that for the first time. And I've been in bands for many years before that, teenagers. And I wanted to know what your experiences have been, maybe at the beginning and how they kind of progressed.
I mean, I gotta not make out with everybody, so.
For the record, we never made out.
We didn't. You're one of the few that got away, Paddy. I am married to Evan currently, by the way. We have 2 children. I did end up with the bass player. I don't know. I like Nico Case has my favorite term of what her pronouns are, which is she, sir. I'm really into that because I really love this idea that gender is over.
Yeah.
And I think when we think about gender and we think about power dynamics, I've always felt like I hold a lot of power. So and the men that I have brought around me are incredibly sensitive, beautiful, open, kind, generous, respectful, beautiful men. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. And I was around so many women. I was around Feist. I was around Emily Haynes. I was around Nico Case. I was around, we had Veruca Salt. We had, the Women in Stereo Lab. We had, Brooke. I mean, there was women. Like I never was like, oh, this is weird. Look at me. I'm a woman in the industry. I was just with my best friends.
Yeah. And
surrounded by equally strong, incredibly talented men and women playing the music of our life.
Let's talk about the period between Set Yourself on Fire and In Our Bedroom After the War. That seemed to be the moment where it all clicked as a band. I think you joined at this point. Sometime at this point now
I'd been around for a while, but then I was, I committed. What would be the word? I accepted the reality of the situation. Yeah.
Came with some laughter tears.
Yeah.
Those 2 albums are obviously a lot of the fans' favourites, and it seemed at that time you were on quite a steep upward trajectory. Would you agree? Lots of gigs?
Yeah, no, it was great. I think the Death Cab for
reviews.
Cutie was a big thing for us because Death Cab, Ben Gibbard loved Set Yourself on Fire. And so they were quite big. And then they invited us to open for them in the big, beautiful theaters. And that made a big difference for us in our trajectory. But we never really, I've been saying to myself lately, why don't you have a better attitude? Because, you're kind of just, every day you're like, oh, Coachella, that's so dusty. Is there any chips? Yeah. And then you're like, you just think everything's going to last forever, which is partly the, this new album, like Pretenders is a song like that, where you just kind of don't know what's happening. You just put your one foot forward and there's all this emotional stuff that's going on and your relationships are happening and there's always a million things going on where you don't know until later where you look back and go, oh yeah, that was crazy. We sold out the Orpheum in Los Angeles. Like, whoa.
We can only go up from here.
We were never really good chess players, you know? We didn't really have a plan.
There was no plan. None. We were just enjoying, trying to enjoy. So we were enjoying. I think we were enjoying ourselves despite ourselves. We were enjoying ourselves.
There was a lot of very good times.
But we weren't taking responsibility for ourselves. We were just going through, plowing through. Yeah, there weren't a lot of, I mean, I don't know.
We're sort of punk rock.
It's hard to, when you're in the moment, when that's happening, there's all the cliches. Because there was a lot of attention being focused on us, and we were sort of, I guess you could say, at the height of but I mean, it's so long ago, it feels like we've been climbing ever since. Like, I don't know, it seems like it's a long time ago to be at your height, but I guess for popularity, there was a lot of attention on us. But at the time, it didn't feel like that. Like, it didn't feel like...
well, it's so interesting because...
This is our moment to seize the day. It was just, we were just running around like a bunch of idiots, you know?
Well, and it's like, the thing about the industry is, you know, when Bedroom came out... Oh, no. It was right after The Five Ghosts came out. And I was pregnant. And we played Massey Hall, which is kind of it's a, you know, what do you call it? It's like one of those like milestones in your career. It's like to play this beautiful hall in Toronto where we all grew up, and like you would see the greats there, and we got to play this beautiful theater, and I was pregnant, and so it felt like, oh, this is the beginning, you know, I'm about to have a kid, and now I'm touring with the child. It's going to be so great. And then the next day we played North Dakota, where there was like asbestos everywhere. There was 7 people there. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, like last night felt like, I was like, we're peaking. This is peaking. Playing Lafayette. It's all about like, you know, so you don't, it's like, it's so much like this and about what's going on in here.
Yeah.
Than we've ever noticed about like, oh, we're an enemy or like, you know, something.
But of course, people don't really see that. In the band, you see it, as you say, you go from an incredible high to a bit of a low the next day. But the impression the fans get, they don't really see that.
Exactly, but that to me, but I don't consider that a low. Like, what I find interesting about it is keeping the high, no matter where you are. Like, if you're big playing in, like, the Orpheum, or you're small and you're playing Sudbury, that one kid who fell in love with Dead Hearts, that's the only person that matters. You know, that's it. Mm-hmm. Like, so... all of it's just noise, you know? That's all about that kid. We've all been to gigs, haven't we, like that, where there's probably you and 4 other people in the audience, but if the band go for it that night, it seems to mean more. They're speaking more to you, maybe, because there's less people around, but you take something out the door when you leave, don't you, from that concert? Exactly.
And I don't have, like, my perspective is so skewed. Like, there's bands, when you love a band, like, there are bands that have come up, and I'll love them, and I'll, for whatever reason, think they're huge. And I'll see they're coming to Montreal. I got to get a ticket now. And I get my ticket. It's going to sell out. This is going to be huge. This band is ginormous. And you show up, and there's 7 people there.
Yeah.
What is going on? Yeah. Where is everybody? The show is amazing. I've seen big bands that are arguably very big, and nobody's there. And I don't know why. I don't know why people show up. And, like, for us, we've played shows wherever where there's 7 people. And then we go back, like, why are we going back? And then we go back and there's 14 people. Like, yes! We've doubled our audience. We're going to be huge, you know? But I don't know. It's a
whiskey
weird...
and vodka.
Exactly. I don't know. It's a strange... I don't know if it's delusional or whatever, but I don't know. It's a hard... People, you know, I can't believe, you know, we've been doing this for 25 years. I never thought I'd be doing this at all. And yet, here I am in London. Every time we go to Europe, we say, is this the last time?
Yeah. And
then we keep coming back because we love it. And people keep coming. Like, we're not a big band. We're not playing the O2, you know, or whatever it is. I don't even know if it's a venue, but...
sounds like a venue.
Sounds like a venue.
But like, it would be like Scotiabank O2 or like, you know, the HBSC, like it would be owned by some... Yeah.
And yet we just persist. And I don't know the answer. People ask me why. Why do you keep doing this? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, it should be spoken, doesn't it?
And I think it's because I think it's because it's fun. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think I enjoy it. You know.
Amy, you said from stage last night that who does a job. Oh, by the way, you can't really see this out there in the TV world, but Amy has broken. We'll get a decent close up of a very sparkly leg brace, whatever it's called, ankle brace.
We call it the boot.
We call it oot and a boot.
Yeah, we call it the boot.
Yeah.
How did you do it? How did you break your foot?
You know, it's really, I wanted to be super like a fantastical story about how I stopped the robbers from the bank that I was going to, which I was going to the bank. But it actually is a little bit romantic because it's literally a Stars lyric. You almost turned your ankle in the snow. That's what I did. I didn't almost turn my ankle. I did turn my ankle in the snow. It was that simple, but quick. And now it's the story. And my kids got to bejewel it. My bejeweled boot.
It's very good. It's almost regal.
Wow. Thank you.
So, time for a present.
Oh.
As you know,
Gifts.
we have Naked Record Club has eco-pressed your
Yep.
album, The Five Ghosts, which we're going to talk about.
That's how you
But
seduced
this
us.
is for you. It is the first of the manufactured copies. This is it.
Come on.
Look at that.
We didn't know this was coming. Look at it.
So this is the non-toxic vinyl.
That's so amazing what you guys do. It's
I can't believe
incredible.
it's happening.
So if you have a look at the record itself, it's a little bit different from the other ones that you will have, the original press.
Beautiful.
Torque is going to be very happy about this. I'm
And
very excited.
it is see-through black vinyl, which is non-toxic, recyclable, and made in a very
Non-toxic.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's
And you know,
beautiful.
this was made on,
very
there's only
beautiful.
one machine in the world that can make this record, which uses less than more than 90% of the energy is saved making that record.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
Using that
Thank
machine.
you so much.
So,
What an
Bravo.
honor.
Yeah.
We're so excited
Bravo.
about
Yeah.
this. This went way better than the last time I tried to reveal a record. You can go
What
on the Instagram and like I almost stabbed my poor son. Anyway, I didn't know, and then I got confused about the record cover. I was like, "This is the record cover?" It's the other side, Amy. So this is much smoother.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Let's
Thank you
talk
so
about
much.
The Five Ghosts, because we've had in another interview, we did a remote interview with Talk, where we were speaking about a lot of different things, and it transpired, and we didn't know this, that it's his favourite Stars album, and of course it was made for him at a really sad time because his dad had just died.
It was a hard time in general, I think.
What was that? I was going to ask you, what are your memories of this record?
It was a hard time for Torque. It was a hard time for me. I think Amy, you had either just had a baby or having a baby.
No, I was wanting a baby.
I was
having a lot of trouble getting pregnant. And so I was very depressed.
I was very depressed. I was going through a challenging period in my life. Torque was very depressed. We were all very depressed.
Yeah.
But we had a wonderful man named Tom McFall.
Who's coming this evening?
Who came in and wrangled all our sad sacks together and made this record. And it's not something we made this record and then I never really listened to it again. It does represent kind of a hard period.
Yeah, it's hard to go
for
back
my
to
friends,
sometimes, yeah.
who are the harshest critics of anything I do, my friends, it's their favorite record. And they never talk. They always like, Five Ghosts, I don't understand why. And it was also, we also didn't really, it got, for some reason, the sort of universal press had decided, they turned against, I don't know why, not turned against us, but they sort of decided that maybe we weren't as special as they thought we were.
It's the
at
classic
this point.
build them up, knock them down.
Yeah,
You
sort
get
of,
to that
and so-
point at some
Trim
album.
that
Yeah.
puppy.
Yeah.
Right.
Puppy had to be trimmed.
So it was, it was kind of, it was difficult in the sense that it came out to not as much fanfare as we'd hoped, and it represented a hard time for all of us, and it was but then again, it always comes back. My friends always come back and say that's your best record, and I'm looking at it now, and there's
lots of hits.
there's some good hits on there.
Wasted Daylight, big hit.
Fixed.
Fixed.
He Dreams Is Awake,
Fixed,
super
now,
weird and
Fixed.
great.
Super weird.
Changes.
Changes. We're playing a lot of these.
We're playing
right
a lot of
now.
these songs. Yeah.
Fixed
Win-
is one
Winter
of my
Bones.
favourites.
Oh, it
and
is?
Did you write the words to that one?
I did.
I have to congratulate you.
Thank you.
On the use of the word fisticuffs.
Thanks.
How the hell did that word end up in the song?
I can't tell you.
Oh, really?
Sorry, it's a secret.
Okay.
But I had just been thinking about. I love that word a lot. Like I want to put druthers in a song. Actually, certain words that I try to an ageless tattered. Like that, just
Right,
it didn't matter what I was tattered fingers. I just like the word tattered. There's some words that just feel so good in your mouth, and fisticuffs is one of those, right?
Brilliant word.
But there's somebody that it was kind of written about, but I'm going to keep that one to myself.
Fair enough.
But Winter Bones, there's
Great
a cool
song.
story about Winter Bones. We never play that. We should play that at the
we
Christmas songs, right? Christmas
Yes, we should.
Winter Bones, we recorded the vocal outside while walking around in like -20 weather. There's 2 vocals on it, and one of the vocals is you can hear the crunching of that when the snow, you guys don't get snow, but
No.
when snow is very, 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 very cold, it has this certain, it's a very striking crunching sound of only when it's that freezing. When it
Right.
and it turns to, when it's like -7, it turns to brown sugar.
Yeah.
And it has a
More
much
of a
softer
thump.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't got the crunch
That,
to it.
that,
Okay.
that crazy.
So it's a rhythmic thing.
So in
It's-
Winter
yeah.
Bones, it's like one of my favorite things. If I remember, just like my eyelashes were freezing and the smoke coming out of my, the vapor coming from my vocals, and Tom McFall was walking with a microphone and had these huge boots, and yeah. Anyway, that's Winter Bones.
Okay, before we come to the last section, which I'll explain in a minute, I just wanted to find out what you guys listen to these days. Who are your favourite artists now? We've talked about the early days, so who would you be? What's on the tour bus? What gets played?
I mean, Torval DJs all the time. He's on our
imagine.
Patreon page. He DJs once a week when he's at home. It's so much fun. He's like, there's not a person that I've ever met that can consume music like that man.
No.
And so I'm always like, I start to sweat when I'm asked about music around him, because he's like, he knows so much about, he's always just constantly devouring whatever's next and whatever's coming and all the things. It's just amazing. But I mean, I didn't even know if this came out last year, but I'm a Casey Musgraves fan. I'm digging that Divorce record, man. I like to get down with that.
A couple years ago.
But I go, like, I can't just stay current. I'm just going to be honest, Listen, if Joni Mitchell can admit she doesn't like to read books, I can admit that I don't know all the newest records.
It's impossible that's what, there's a lot. I've been wrestling with the modern age for a while, just because it's so vastly different. And I've been sort of not anti Spotify or streaming or music, but it is different. It's a different way to consume music, and it's so vast. And I find it just overwhelming. So I find I don't ultimately engage with it because it's too much. But
Brad Barr has a beautiful new record.
very
he put
beautiful.
out
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's, I think, my favorite record of last year is
Yeah.
the Barr Brothers. I don't know if you
Oh,
know
right.
about
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
So
I
Brad,
remember them. I didn't know he was making records on the set.
Brad
Okay.
Barr is the guitar player and the vocalist, but it's an instrumental guitar record, and it's very soothing. And, I have 2 kids in my house, and they make, like, she's putting on all the music, which, as you can imagine, is 80% Taylor Swift, which I love. I'm into it. It's a lot of Hamilton. There's a lot of even Cats. There's so many different kinds, apparently. Jellicle Cats.
Jellicle Cat's my
Anyway,
favorite.
but I get, like, we have a very small house and she takes over, but so we can occasionally put our albums on. But Christine Bougie is another amazing guitar player. So when I listen to it, a lot of times I like to listen to music without any lyrics, just something to take me into calm my nervous system. And Brad Barr's record did that for me, and Christine Bougie's record did that for me. Lydia Prasad, incredible record. Lydia Prasad, she's from Toronto. She put out a beautiful record, Soul.
Yeah.
The only person I can compare it to her is Marvin Gaye, which
That's pretty
Get
crazy.
that.
That's
but she opened for us on the
Nothing.
last shows that we played in Ontario in the States. Absolutely incredible voice, beautiful lyrics.
The
So they're
production's
coming to me.
incredible.
The production's beautiful.
It's modern, but also references classic soul. It's an incredible record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the opposite. I listen to very antagonistic music that most people would hate, and by myself, because then nobody else really wants to hear it.
What's that? Is that sort of like glitchy drum and bass stuff?
No,
or
not
just-
so much the glitchy drum and bass anymore. It's like strange, like,
Name it. What is it? They must
well,
have
there's a
name.
band called Wild Run with an album called Epigon, which is, it's like, it's like, I don't know, it's like Cats, like...
Cats?
Well, yeah, like...
You listen to
and
Cats?
No. Well, I went to see Cats, but it's like Andrew Lloyd Webber meets, Dying Fetus. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird.
Crazy.
It's like all over them. The song's like 11 minutes long, and it's just crazy. But I listen to a lot of metal, and I also listen to a lot of new country, which people hate because I end up listening to a lot of radio, but I'm not genre specific. Like I don't listen to just hardcore music. Like some of it I like, some of it is unlistenable. I agree. And then it's the same with new country. Like most of the genre I find unlistenable, but there are songs in there that are undeniably, they make me cry and laugh at the same time. And if you can do that, I'm in. I'm sold.
You might have enjoyed a gig I was taken to, because we live, Naked Record Club is based in France. I was taken to a concert in a strange, very cold building, out building a couple of weeks ago. And it was the band who, actually I can't remember their name, which is probably lucky because they're definitely on Spotify because I've played them since to make sure I got it right. So I watched them and they were kind of like doom rock mixed with medieval music.
Well,
man, that was
wild.
That was a trip.
I'm telling you, these guys are like, it's like fantasy rock, like elfin rock. Like they do that kind of stuff, but the guy sings like Josh Groban a little bit, and then goes into like a death growl, and then it's like, and then there's like
journey.
It is like every song is this arcing and just when you're like, okay, I've had enough, then they throw another curve at you, and it just brings me right in. And I just find it's like an epic journey going through the songs, and I like it. Like it gets my cells vibrating, and that's how I've like music now. I try not to like think about it or dissect it too much. Like it just, if my body starts reacting to it, responding to it, then that's what it is.
Because you're a drummer, do you think? Is there something in there?
No, I think I've just been listening to music for so long I've just consumed so much of it that I think it's a problem where I can see all the references and I see what they're referencing, and I try not to be so analytical about it, like I find it ruins music for me. It's not what I like. It's not what I like about music. I don't like being clinical about the music and thinking about all the aspects of the technicalities and stuff. I like it when it reverberates on an emotional level for me. And I find you have to get rid of all that, that sort of urge to dissect things and just feel it. And I find I have a hard time doing that for some reason these days. So it has to be something kind of remarkable and extreme for me to react to it.
There we go.
I'm a little simpler. Andy Schoaf also, we've had a lot.
Apparently your new album's amazing. I've not heard your new album yet, but the last one was stunningly good.
We're a big fan. We get a lot of Andy Schoaf. Charlotte Cornfield, big fans of her. She's often played in the house when we are allowed to play our own music, which isn't often.
Okay, so this is the Naked Confessional. For those who don't know, it's a series of questions that's based loosely on a Victorian parlour game. These questions have been asked of the likes of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Oscar Wilde, and Karl Marx.
Oh man,
so you're in good company.
That's tough company
now
right
you
there.
get Amy Millan, Paddy McGee.
You may also have seen these questions on James Lipton's Artists Workshop, which is a series of questions he would ask actors. He'd bring them in and sit them down and ask them questions.
I actually love this stuff.
I'm sweating.
Made for this stuff. Right. Come on.
So you're both. The idea is you answer it truthfully and quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you go first.
This is terrible.
Who's going first?
Go.
Okay. Right. Okay. Your greatest virtue.
Amy?
Laughs.
No, keep going. Pass.
You don't have any virtues?
Pass.
Okay.
Come on. You're a
Your biggest fault.
I laugh at my own jokes. It's terrible. It's so right.
I can't think of quick answers.
You're going to have to mail them into us, okay?
Lying in bed for months.
I freeze under pressure.
What is my fault? I'm happy to answer for you.
Please do.
I'm joking.
Your favourite word?
Fisticuffs.
I have one. I quite like serendipity, but there's another one. I'll get back to it.
Okay. Your least favourite word?
Drudge.
Good word.
Moist. Actually, I hate that word, moist. It's a terrible word. Moist.
Literally is kind of bugging me a lot these days. But anyways.
Overused. Badly used.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Evan Cranley.
God, breakfast? I don't know.
Good answer.
That's great. This guy can make a mean breakfast. Let me tell you, every morning, his breakfast.
I have to.
There's a movie like the Shawinigan movie. There's like you making breakfast. It's a wild ride. It takes half an hour. It's extraordinary.
Sounds good.
Cereal.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a lot more than that.
Whatever. Anyway,
it's a topple of everything. Okay, so
that sounds good. Okay, what turns you off?
Smug.
Ugh.
Smug behavior. I don't like smug.
You kind of pointed at me a little bit there.
No, I was just, you're not smug at all. You're lovely.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't have a go red now. Don't do that.
Absolutely lovely. Smug. Yeah, I can't do smug.
Oh my God, so many things. I don't know. I can't. I knew this game was going to ruin me. I know. Lots of things. Bad smells turn me off. I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your idea of happiness.
The bath.
Bath.
The bath.
Flowers.
Your idea of misery.
Anxiety attacks.
No breakfast.
If you were a colour, what would it be?
Pink and blue for me, so I guess purple.
I was going to say purple. No, I red. Constantly. Yeah, red. I'm definitely already red. I'm a ready color.
What is your favourite swear word?
Fuck. Definitely. Go to all the time. Sorry, kids.
Scheißen, I go to a lot, but it's German. I don't know if that counts.
It counts.
No, it's kind of clever. It's growing up clever because it's swearing, but it's not swearing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unless you're in Germany,
Yeah.
when it is swearing. You're going to Germany soon, aren't you? Will you use it there?
Sorry?
Will you
Yes.
use the swear word there?
Of course, we use it. We pretend to speak German all the time. I don't
We
know.
just we just speak English with a German accent.
I know. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
If you could work with anyone dead or alive, who would it be? This is musically.
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton. I mean, who would be more fun? Is there anyone more fun? I was gonna say Prince, but I don't think, I love him, but I don't think he's that fun. I don't think it'd be that fun.
You've
I think
got long
would be
hours
so
with
much
him
fun.
probably as well, but really long hours, I think, with Prince.
Yeah.
Tell us a secret about yourself.
Oh God.
I have a tattoo I slightly regret.
I regret most of my tattoos.
Just stealing all mine then.
I know. I'm just piggybacking here. I know. I knew I was going to be really bad.
I was going to make you go first, but I think it's better than I'm
That's the funny thing about tattoos. You get a tattoo and I'm excited about it, and then it's like, not quite right. Oh well, better luck next time.
Have you seen Amy Millan's with the no regrets tattoo? It's a great scene. In
That's amazing.
Amy Millan's from it's spelt wrong basically, and the guy doesn't know, and he's a little bit simple maybe, but he doesn't realise. Have you got any regrets? No. Anyway, you need to see the film. It's very good. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Your martini is ready.
Welcome to the dessert buffet.
Very good. So that's it. That is
that's
the
it.
Stars interview.
I'm sweating so much right
record
now.
time.
That was horrible. It was lovely. No, just
It was
the
brilliant.
last part,
You
being
did
on the spot.
brilliantly.
It's
It's
the
brilliant.
lights,
You
everything.
know what? It's the thing about it's Paddy has a hard time sometimes making
Do tell.
decisions. You know, like if you go,
Okay.
Look, listen.
Hold on.
You do, and so if you have to choose a one thing to say as a definitive, that's difficult for you, and I can understand that. That's a personality trait. That's not you like wanting to be clever or wanting it to be like the right answer. It's just that you're not definitive about anything. You've said to me, I'm done with pasta. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, I could really go for a mac and cheese. I'm like, you just said you were done, like, shoe shopping with a guy. Not fun.
Listen, okay? This is true. And this is an interesting thing about mythologizing people, is because there's definitely true that there is a period in my life where it was annoying, not only for the people around me, but for me in particular, that I could not choose an ice cream flavor without suffering. Okay. But then it was brought to my attention repeatedly. And so often that I was like, you know what? It's time to make a concerted effort. So I go into the ice cream shop now and I'm like, bourbon chocolate, I'm out. And like, that's it. And whether it's either a good decision or bad, but I'm not going to make my friends suffer. I'm not going to make my friends suffer. But yet the mythology remains. And this has been a long time. But it is in life, I am annoyingly centrist. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like who else is like that actually, which is really funny because it's a little bit like saying, what's your favorite? Right. And so Chris McCarron, the guitar player in Stars, has I was at his wife's bachelorette party, and all of a sudden on the screen comes her sister is interviewing him, and every question is, what's your favorite outfit that Jose wears? His soon to be wife, and he's like, oh. Like he can't do favorites. It's a central, it's a very central.
Yeah.
And so I don't have that. I'm very I don't like that.
Extremely diplomatic.
Yeah, I'm not diplomatic at all.
Terrified of opinions.
That's what I'm saying.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Of course it's okay. It's okay. It's annoying, but it's okay.
It's not very good at parlor games.
No, terrible parlor games.
So there you have it.
And that's it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, everybody. If you haven't got it yet, if you don't know what we're doing, www.nakedrecordclub.com. Go and have a look at all the albums we're putting out, but in particular the Stars one, Naked 005, 5 Ghosts, which Amy is holding up right there. Have a look. Buy the record. Come and see the band. You're touring America and Canada again.
We're always
quite
on
soon.
tour. We'll never stop.
Yeah.
Keep coming.
And thank you for watching today. And thank you to Amy.
Thank you very much.
For inviting them. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Goodbye.
Bravo.
Thousands of ghosts in the daylight, walking through my hometown square. Thousands of faces you touched.